Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Tam's story. Last session, you had just signed up to the Maryguard Academy. You had explored a little bit, gotten yourself a job helping at the local physicary, and now we proceed on to the next morning, where you have... Well, is Tam the sort of person who would wake up early enough to go and get breakfast?
I think by temperament he wouldn't be, but by training he would be. Because he's cleric's life. I'm sure that if you given his druthers, he would like to sleep in, but his body clock is pretty in tune.
Okay. So, by force of habit or by training, you would go get yourself something to eat. Which means that you start with an additional 4 temporary hit points today.
Oh, hey. Okay. And the breakfast is where there's like fresh food and stuff, right? It's not just the golem stuff.
Well, all the food is prepared by the golems.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
But it is actual, prepared breakfast that is not just stew and bread left out for adventurers to come and retrieve.
I gotcha.
So,
So I
eggs,
could have
bacon, potatoes,
Brad, all those three things.
well,
That
tomatoes and
fine.
beans and other assorted breakfast things. Nothing that's too complicated to prepare, but tastes good enough. And the golems did a good enough job that you've earned some temporary hit points.
Fabulous.
So, the following next hour, you've eaten and you head to the Bard classroom, where you find both Yithrun and Nore just performing their own preparations as they get ready for the day, and Tally is there as well. And so, as we arrive on the map for the Bard's classroom, Tally is there, and you see that she is, coaxing Yithrun through the first steps of tuning his lute. And as you enter, there's a period of time where she doesn't, she talks to you, but she doesn't, begin to teach you just yet, as she handles the other students. And then finally, as you have you're kind of loitering, you don't really know what to do with yourself, because
Sure.
it's your first day of class. Tally turns to you and she says, "The fresh meat don't think I've forgotten about you."
Tam's gonna hold out his bow and his fiddle as if ready to play, as if kind of just awaiting instruction.
Tally will pointedly place 2 fingers on the end of your fiddle and just push it down. And she will say, "No music just yet."
Tam's face falls.
I understand. However, there is much more to being a bard than just playing music, as always. In fact, most of our music comes from inspirations in history. So, how much do you know about the world around you, Tam?
What do you mean? The kind of the world that I read about in books, or the kind of the world that I sense with my hands and my eyes?
The one you've experienced and heard about. The one you hear people telling stories of, where they have lived life to the fullest.
I mean, I know some stories. I don't know if I've lived life to the fullest, but I sure know some people that have.
Well, as a minstrel, or a bard, most of what you do is going to be gathering stories, whether they be your own, or from people around you, and then bending those into songs, or poems, or written lyric, anything that lets you express your emotions into what you've heard, what you know, what you've experienced. Do you follow?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, this is going to be simple enough, but do you know how to bend your music into magic?
I don't think so.
Alright, Tally will, gesture to Nore, who resumes her own practice, and then she pulls up a chair that she gestures for you to sit on.
Tam will sit and then kind of look thoughtfully and say, I thought music was its own kind of magic.
Well, yes, it is, but also a good way to manipulate magic and the weave around you. Do you know what the weave is?
Do I know what the weave is?
Are you proficient?
In Arcana?
If you're proficient in Arcana, you do.
I am, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes, he does.
Do you know what the weave is?
I don't, though.
The player doesn't. Okay. For the sake of argument, Tally will say, the weave is the intricate web that surrounds all matter, all air around us, everything we see, everything we touch, everything we don't. It is interlaced with the weave, which is magic. When you perform a spell, you influence the weave. Like dropping a stone into a pond of water. And performing the right spell is just creating the right shape of splash.
For emphasis, Sam will make a little minor illusion of a stone skipping on a pond.
You do know how. Look at that. Simple as that.
Oh.
It might have been... Oh, not always. But one of the most powerful abilities we have here as bards is our music can bend the weave as we wish in ways that many other wish that they could. We can kind of cheat off of their homework, as it were. You see that powerful wizard casting these magnanimous and powerful spells. We can create the same effects by playing the right notes at the right time.
Goodness, why would anyone want to be a wizard?
Some don't have the knack. Some would rather learn the mechanical motions by which to cast a spell than to use your own emotions to make it happen. That's what matters. It's not so much the music, it's the emotions behind it, which is why you can see bards creating magic with dance, or influencing spells with written word. It doesn't have to be music.
Okay. What kind of stuff can I do?
Well, what do you feel like you can do?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty good at doing these little things. Makes another little minor image of Nore kind of like dancing around with her swords.
Sure.
Popping things.
Tally smirks.
It'd be cool if I could do it bigger.
Now here's the question. You can do that. What does it feel like? What do you feel like you could do if you really pushed yourself? If you really expressed the emotions going through your mind and tried to use it to influence something else? If you really strained yourself, were pushed to the limit. Think about a time in your life when you were strained, when you really were almost desperate.
Okay.
And channel that. And let's see what comes of it.
Okay. Almost desperate. For somebody else's help?
Could be. Or, as you said, you wished you could make that small little dancing image bigger. Imagine channeling that distress, that energy, that would push you almost to being tired. Push that into that same feeling.
Okay. I'll try it. I guess, so I'm imagining, is his fiddle still a spellcasting focus, basically, for him? Or is this something he can do kind of without a focus?
So, mechanically, you use your fiddle to cast spells. Okay. The point is, the explanation is that, like other bards that use different instruments, or there are bards that use rhythm and prose, or poems, or drums, things like that, it just explains how they can cast spells as well.
Yeah, how it works. Okay. So in that case, he will tuck his fiddle. He'll tune up, make sure the fiddle's in tune, first thing. And he will play a song. And I think, mechanically, he'll be casting Silent Image. But I think what he's going to try to do is he's going to try to basically make that image of Nore bigger. But the song that he's playing is kind of melancholic, and what's going to actually happen is it's not Nore, it's his sister, and it's his sister like still that has a sword, and like kind of is making kind of similar emotions, but it's not the person that he wants it to be.
Okay. Roll me a spellcasting check.
Sure.
Your first attempts to get this message across, the illusion, it starts as Nore. But with a 9, it's muddled. It feels like the conflict that you feel, like the guilt that is hidden there. It almost comes out, and the illusion grows darker, until it's almost as though the shadows of what you're hoping is what's actually appearing. And Tally says, no, you can't be deceiving yourself. If there's one person you have to be honest with when you're casting a spell with music, it has to be you. No matter who you're trying to deceive.
Should I roll another one, or should I cast another spell? What am I doing?
We can roll off the same, but you can re-roll. Like, she's giving you advantage. She's helping you. So it's above a 10. So now the illusion you're attempting to create is solid. But you are aware that it would not take much for someone to see through it. For someone to see that this is an illusion and Nore is actually seated on the chair next to you, looking a little glum. However, Tally says, better. That is much better. That looks like a complete illusion. I can see your emotion bent into the magic. However, whatever it is going on upstairs, maybe either sort it out or drown it in alcohol. That's what I do. That was a joke.
You recommend the alcohol, then?
I mean, I do.
Okay, I'll think about that.
Tally will look at you and look at Nore and look at Yithrun, and he will say, I think I have the perfect task. It's your first day, and Yithrun, I need you to work with me today. So, Nore, and Nore looks up and says, yeah. Tally says, would you kindly take Tam down to the ship stool? There must be music afoot, and I expect to see you come back with some earned wage. And Nore looks at you, and she says, Have you ever performed for money before?
Yeah, I didn't make much. I tried, though.
Well, it's you and me. And she stands up.
I told a story and someone gave me a copper last night, though. Does that count?
Tally says, of course that counts. You earned a wage performing as a bard. It doesn't have to be music.
Okay, well, I guess I have done that before.
Well, an excellent start. But now it will be music. So, the two of you, head down to the ship stool and see what you can do. Nore stands up and says, okay, do you know where the ship stool is?
Nope.
All right, follow me. And she heads out the door.
Cam will wave furiously at Yithrun and then follow
her. You hear Yithrun immediately, like kind of happily, just, yeah, have fun, as he holds the lute up. And Tally says, less of a grip. You're bending the strings. You're going to have a buzz every time. And you're, sorry. And you head out. Okay. And as you're leaving, as soon as you head out into the hall, Nore stops, and she turns and she looks at you, and she says, look, we gotta work together. You're real high energy, you know that?
I've been told, yeah.
Look, Just, can you slow it down a little? It's exhausting.
I can try. You need me to talk slower?
No, just... don't be annoying.
I'll try.
Thank you. I get enough of that shit from Tally. I can't... look. I don't mean to be rude.
What counts as annoying?
Asking a zillion questions, one right after the other.
Oh. Tam is very clearly about to ask another question, and he bites the middle of his cheek and just grins instead.
You were about to... It's better. Okay, let's go. And she turns and begins heading out of the Merigard Academy.
It is 2 minutes, and then he goes, "Okay, but you looked sad before. How come you looked sad before?"
Okay, we just met yesterday, and we're not off to a great start. So maybe keep the personal questions just off the table, all right?
Okay.
It's nothing personal. I promise.
I mean, it is, because you just said.
Okay, yeah, you're annoying. Stop. And she, like, heads out the door.
Good luck, Tam.
Yeah. All right, so you head out of the Merigard. You briefly see Persh at the front desk, speaking to an individual. They're speaking to a dark elf, a very, very proper-looking dark elf.
Do you have any idea what she's doing here? Can I do like an insight or something?
Yeah, you can roll an insight check.
Cool. Oh my god, are we back to not rolling like above a 12?
With a 9, you have no idea.
Cool.
You don't think it's a new student. I'll say that.
Okay, that makes sense. He will wave at Persh cheerily, and then realize that probably waving is also annoying, and then kind of like look at Nori from the corner of his eye, and like slowly stop waving.
Nora has the door open and is just like staring at you, like waiting to see if you're coming. And when you glance over, she goes, "Huh."
Okay. Yep. He will skitter.
Okay.
Over shortly.
You are out on the main stretch approaching the Merigard Academy. So let me pull up the city map. Let me know if it takes a minute to load.
Probably will.
It's a big map, unfortunately. Hold on. Nope, not that one. That one. Okay, I can see you have not loaded the map yet.
Yes.
But I will say, the main road approaching the Merigard Academy is a pretty wide one, and along it you know the Merigard Tavern is here. As you and Nore begin to make your way down the long stretch that leads toward the South Docks, which is where Nore says the ship's stool is, I would like it if you would roll me a D100, please.
You got it. 14.
14. Hold on. Okay. You make your way down the main stretch of road, and then you find yourself among many of the vendors that line the main street. You see there is one vendor who has what look like maybe small pieces of equipment. The shopkeeper is a human man who is looking maybe a little bit concerned, as there are 4 individuals all wearing the exact same type, set, and look of armor. They're trying to get the vendor to buy it from them, from what you hear. You hear who it sounds like the leader of the group say, "Honestly, I don't know why you turned this all down. It's enchanted, after all, and we only want 20 gold pieces a set." And the next man says, yeah, honestly, it's truly good stuff. And the shopkeeper says, look, I don't want it. I don't need it from you. And then the first man says, well, why? You were trying to sell us just something absolutely pointless in the first place. You could totally use this. You customers will be roaring for it. Go ahead and roll me an insight check.
Okay. Oh my god.
This seems like completely normal business.
Okay. I don't. Tam is curious by nature, though. Is it, like, even with that insight check, I have a detect magic. Could I throw up detect magic because I'm curious about this enchanted armor?
If you want to.
Yeah, I'll do it. I won't have any spell slots, but, like, YOLO.
Okay. That will be your second spell slot. So yeah, you cast detect magic. And as you do, you turn your gaze over the armor that is supposed to be enchanted, and there is no sign of magic coming from any of them.
I'm gonna look at Nora and say, I don't think that armor's enchanted.
She looks at you and she rolls her eyes and she says, do you really think so?
I mean, I can do the spell thing now, and it told me so. So, I don't think it's enchanted.
She's like rubbing her face, and she says, they're trying to con him.
Should we tell them? Should we tell him?
It's not our problem. We should keep moving. We don't need trouble with these four.
Would it be trouble to just tell him the truth?
If we tell him that they're lying, they'll be upset with us, and then we'll have to deal with that.
I mean, but they're the ones lying.
Yeah, so they're the kind likely to have swords on them to hit us with. Do you see what I'm saying?
But we have swords.
She looks at you. She looks at you and she says, yeah, I do. Look, it's up to you. What do you do?
Give me a minute. Tam is gonna he's gonna walk up to the vendor.
Okay, so in the middle of this, like, kind of getting heated conversation, you walk up and he says, yes, how can I, what is it?
He's gonna just, like, lean in close and try to just, like, stealthily whisper.
You...
There's
Okay.
no magic. It's not magic.
Roll stealth.
It's not magic.
Roll stealth.
This is gonna go so well.
I'm sure it is. You've been rolling awesome.
20! Finally!
Okay. 23. Hold on. The vendor looks at you and he just says, thank you. And he turns to the four individuals and he says, he seems to, like, kind of gather himself up, and he says, I am not interested. You four gentlemen are better off finding another person to purchase your magical wares. I am not buying. The four suddenly seem surprised by the adamance of the man, who clearly had his resolve maybe steeled a little bit by you intervening. And the four look at you, look at the vendor, look at Norre, and then finally the one in the back says, hey, maybe we should just find someone else. There's more likely more vendors down by the market. And the leader of the group seems to go, aye. All right then. Good day to you. And the four seem to make their way away. And the vendor looks at you and says, I suspected. Thank you for clearing that up.
Not good in life. I mean, most of the time.
I appreciate you getting the pressure off of me. That was unpleasant. He smiles at you and seems like you may have improved his day, as it were.
I'm glad.
Norre walks up beside you and she says, "Right, fantastic. Can we move?"
Yeah, but see, it was fine.
Yeah.
We did a good thing. Okay, we can go now. But we did a good thing.
You're right. And she just walks on past. What do? Do you follow? Do you stick around?
He's gonna give the merchant a little salute, and say, "Have a good day selling to people that aren't trying to con you." And then follows Nori.
Okay. Well done. You managed to defuse that without there being a big problem because of a nat 20. As you make
Only
your way...
for luck.
Yeah,
Only
it happens.
because of pure luck.
Yeah, really. However, it went as well as it could possibly go. And you catch up to Norre as you reach the main market area of Ferrum, which is a big open plaza filled with vendors beneath tents, surrounded by actual structures like cobblers and tailors and blacksmiths and restaurants, cafeterias, all sorts of places people can do their business. Proceeding through the market, you go past it to the south docks. Eventually, reaching the south docks, you see that it is lined with boats coming in and going out, sailors disembarking and loading, and supplies being brought aboard and off onto the docks. It is busy as heck around here. And as you're looking at it, you see Norre kind of waves for you to follow her to a tavern that is comfortably painted, the ship's stool, over a door. And you see that this tavern looks like a galleon that has been tilted on its side and then cannibalized into a small building.
Nice.
It sounds lively as you're heading there in the fairly early in the day. It's only like 10 in the morning when you finally get here. It is busy, however. Seems as though the breakfast crowd has been here, and as you are standing near the door, Norre looks at you and says, "All right, now I come here often. We're going to have to spend a lot of time reading the crowd and figuring out when is best for us to perform, because we don't want to blow it too early."
Okay. You've been here before. Do you know what kind of, I imagine, sea shanties? What other kind of music?
Any popular song is fine. It's just we need to hit it at the right time. If we do it too early, we won't get any listeners, and if we do it too late, everyone's too drunk to pay.
Alright. Well, how can I help?
Alright, so you and I were both going to go around. We're going to read the room, try and, sit with people, have a couple of drinks, get a feel for who's in there. And then after maybe an hour or two, we're going to regroup. Based on who we find, we'll know what sort of songs to sing.
Okay. I can do that.
I know you can. It's a matter of not annoying anybody, she says as she kind of tenses a little.
So you don't think I can do it?
I firmly believe you can show the restraint needed to not annoy anyone.
Thanks, Norre. That's real sweet.
Mm-hmm. She goes into the tavern.
He's gonna just real gentle on her, just tap her shoulder a little bit and give her some guidance.
Okay. I think when you tap, she suddenly turns and goes, "What?" And so what does it look like when you give guidance?
Good luck. It's actually, like, I'm imagining it's kind of like, honestly, kind of like a little minor bardic inspiration. It feels kind of the way that bardic inspiration feels, except it's divine.
Oh, okay.
And so it's just kind of like a little wash of energy.
So she would immediately be like, "What? Thanks." And then she goes inside. Okay. This is going to be a skill challenge.
Wow, a solo skill challenge.
A solo skill challenge. Okay, so the way this works is You are going to come up with solutions and how you're going to get information on these people. You can use your skills, you can use your spells, you can just use arguments, like you talk about what you're going to do. But I'm going to require 3 successes from you.
Got me. Before 3 failures, I know.
The number of failures is variable. It depends on how poorly you fail. But you head into the tavern. It is busy, but not crammed. So one moment, please, while I bring up the tavern splash. Okay.
And I imagine it's mostly sailors here, yes?
It is maybe about half and half sailors and regulars from around the town. You get the impression this is the tavern people go to avoid the Merigard crowd. You don't always want to go to the college bar, so you come to this one.
Do I get the impression that they're going to trust me less because I'm from the Merigard?
No, not really. You are aware that the Merigard Academy is a big deal in this town, and you see other people wearing Merigard embroidery here. It's not escapable, so it's just an accepted fact that there are going to be Merigard individuals, whether they be contractors or students or visitors, staff. It's like the main employer here, so it's just a constant.
Got it.
So, how do you handle this?
How do I handle this?
You have a tavern full of strangers. You see Norre has gone to the bar, picked up a couple tankards of ale, and you see that she has moved over to one of the tables that's full of what look like dwarves. And she has sat down and placed that tankard in front of a dwarf that had just finished their ale.
Okay. So, here's a question. I'm used to I hung out with a lot of bards at the College of Seven Songs, right?
Sure.
And I know that they do stuff like this all the time. Would it be acceptable for me to roll like a history or like a memory of kind of trying to think about one of the things that they did if they gave me any tips for a situation?
Yeah, you can roll a history. I'd allow a history roll to try and repeat what you've seen other bards do.
Cool. Nope.
Okay. So your first attempts are a little bit awkward. You find a table of what look like just a mixture of sailors. And you kind of like try and ingratiate yourself, but it's clear they're not like a table welcoming strangers. So as you sit down and you try and engage in conversation, you mostly get cold shoulders and a few like, that seat's reserved. Just, the hints that you should probably leave.
Okay, got that. Not that table then. How about, is there anyone that looks particularly persuadable that I could maybe ask them, kind of like talk to them a little bit and be like, hey, so do you like, what kind of entertainment do you like? What kind of music? What do you like?
You can roll me a persuasion or an insight. I would allow you to roll either of those for this inspection.
Oh my god. Damn, it's just, I don't know. I rolled 1 natural 20 and no other good roll.
That's it. Okay. With a 9 on persuasion, you think that you find someone totally amenable, someone that looks like they're, like maybe they were even giving you the eyes. And as you sit down, this female half elf kind of looks at you and she says, "What do you think you're doing?"
Having a conversation?
Not with me. Yeah, I'm trying to eat here.
Oh. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be annoying.
Huh. Keep trying. And she eats the sandwich that she's got. That's 2 strikes, Tam.
Doing great.
Oh boy.
Just great.
You see Norre is not having an easy time, but she seems as though she has not been like mocked or made fun of or anything like that. She has moved to another table and is having a conversation with a pair of humans.
Okay. have anything. What do I have for this?
So you've tried history, you've tried persuasion.
I tried history. I tried persuasion.
What else you got?
This is really dumb. Ham's gonna pray.
You're gonna pray.
Yes.
Okay. To
I'm probably the fiddler, honestly.
all right.
And be like, because I mean, he's a cleric or was raised by clerics. Help a guy out here, you know?
Okay.
Oh, that's really funny.
What's your prayer?
I didn't mean to hit it before you told me that I could.
What's your prayer?
I think he's gonna say, okay, I took this chance. I came all the way here. I'm really bad at everything. I don't know if this is what I'm even supposed to be doing. Can you give me a sign that this is not the wrong path for me?
With a 23 on religion, you feel like you can almost feel just like that nervousness that you were wrong. Like it's, of course this isn't what you should be doing. And then you hear music. It's not music that you have written, but it sounds like almost this tense fiddle music coming from somewhere. And as you're looking around, you don't know where it's coming from. And as quickly as it began, it seems to have stopped. But you hear a group from another table. They're telling a story. And the reason why the music, you think, was maybe tense is it's the story of a fell creature, of a monster, inflicting a terrible disease on an entire town. A disease that made them forget a person, an entire person, so that person could be eaten without anyone knowing. A magical disease created by a magical monster.
Great story. It's a terrible thing. Ham is immediately sucked in and is gonna like go over to that table and listen.
You just listen?
For right now, yeah.
Roll me perception at advantage. It is at advantage. Thank fuck for that. A 10. Good lord. Okay. You hear the story of the false Hydra that destroyed Siren's Reach. A monster terrible to behold, that its song was so terrifying and horrible that anybody who heard it didn't know the false Hydra was there, and their memories could be manipulated at will by the creature. And it used that to, one by one, devour the population of Siren's Reach. Which is an interesting story. However, you don't learn a whole lot about the people in the tavern.
Do I get the sense that like they're telling the story because they have like a scary stories around the campfire vibe? I mean, around the tavern vibe, or do I get the sense that like they need the mood lightened after this?
Roll an insight check. One of them's got to be good.
This one is okay. This one is okay.
Okay. The way the story is being told doesn't sound like the over-dramatized ghost story. This sounds almost like a recollection. And the people around the table are melancholic.
Okay. I'm gonna go get some ale. Can I see what they're drinking?
Yeah, you can see. It's pretty clear. They're all drinking the same. It's this crimson red ale that smells of cinnamon, and it's full of all these fine bubbles that rise to the surface. It smells pretty good.
Okay. Can I get like a pitcher of that from the bar?
Yeah, You head up to the bar, and the bartender looks at you and says, "Good morning. How can I help you?"
Good morning. That table over there is drinking this delicious-looking crimson thing. Can I have a picture of it, please, for them?
Hey, that's Red Fire Ale. I can give you some. And he fills up a pitcher for you, and he says, "That'll be 2 silver for a pitcher."
Sure thing. Give him 2 silver and probably not make any money today.
Okay. You bring a pitcher of Red Fire Ale.
I'm gonna set it down for them. Say,
Oh,
that's all of a story. You need some cheering up?
the one who told it is this burly, very tired-looking half-orc who looks down at the pitcher and then up at you, and he says, "We certainly could."
Well, what would cheer you up? Another story? Some music?
He looks at you and he looks around the table and he says, "If you have any stories of things not going to shite, that'll be nice."
I can tell a story like that.
Okay.
Uh,
This is going to be another persuasion check.
okay.
25. You begin to tell a story. What is the story of, if you don't want me to wing it?
I think Ham's gonna tell a story about. I mean, and it'll. I like the one that I kind of can think of off the top of my head is not a kind of big sprawling epic, but it's kind of a more personal like romance, and it's the story of a woman that falls in love with a creature from the Feywild, that's kind of a menace in her father's lands, and doesn't really know
Charging
it's
battery.
from the Feywild, but they have this sort of like cat and mouse like kind of romance from kind of in the shadows, and she doesn't quite know who he is, and then kind of slowly finds out, and then she gets pregnant by him and is furious because she can't be with this creature from the Feywild, and her dad is furious and she's in trouble, and so she goes to try to get rid of the baby, like take some roots from the woods, and the Fey creature finds her and is
Charge
like,
complete.
"Don't do this. I want to be with you, but I can only do it if you prove yourself to me also, because I think that you're gonna leave me once you know what I am." And so she has to undergo these trials where she has to hold him while he turns into all these different creatures, a bear and a wolf and like a terrible shade. And if she holds him through all of that, they can be together and he'll be her love, and everything will be okay. And he does, and he's really dramatic about like the third form is the hardest, and it's a monster, and she believes in him and she does it, and they end up together, and the story's
When you finish the story, you realize several other tables have been listening in as well. And the table that you were first telling the story to, their ale is untouched. They are leaning on the table, listening intently. And when you're finally finished, the burly half-orc looks at you and he says, "Tell what did he turn into? What kind of monster?" They're all enraptured.
excellent.
You have successfully won over a portion of the tavern with that 25. And your story was well done enough that I'm going to award you a point of inspiration.
Amazing.
It's been about an hour and a half of you trying to learn more and more about the people of this tavern. And after you've kind of had this conversation with these folks at the table, at one point you get up for maybe to get more ale or simply to recoup with Nore, and she says, "Well, what have you learned?"
Well, that table over there is suffering and melancholy, and they really need a good cheering up. I told them a story, and they seemed to like it, and a bunch of the tavern got on my side. So I think people are pretty primed, at least over on that side of the tavern.
Okay. I learned there's been apparently King Strongarm has been killed. So people on this side of the tavern are pretty torn up about that as well. So I think you're on the right path here. I think we need to play something uplifting, something bright and cheery.
Okay. I know just the thing for that.
I imagine you do. Could you key me in on it?
Yeah. Do you know the song "The Great Storm Is Over"?
She probably does if it's a common song. Yeah, she rolled a 15 naturally. She nods.
Okay. Let's do that. I think that'll work. That's uplifting.
All right. When? Do you think now? Do you think later?
I mean, they seem to need cheering up now.
Okay. First, let's just check with the tender. Norre leads you over to the bartender. The bartender looks at the two of you and says, "Aye, how can I help you now?"
So we're bards. Would it be okay if we played a little bit for these folks?
Roll persuasion.
I have 2 modes.
Hard yes or hard no. Okay. The bartender says, "I think that's to be fine. Just, try not to anger anybody." Norre just kind of shrugs and says, when does that ever happen? And the bartender looks at her and says, "Last week." And Norre says, "Oh, fine. Fuck."
Tam is just gonna kind of look up at her and kind of tilt his head and cock an eyebrow.
Shut up.
He kind of like waves his hands and very pointedly doesn't say anything.
Good. Let's go to the stage.
Okay.
And as you do, Norre pulls from within her bag a helmet with a flat top, which she sets on the edge of the stage. And then she looks to you. She says, "I'll follow your lead."
Okay.
So roll performance with advantage.
Before this, though, he's going to cause attention. He's going to cast Thaumaturgy. Not right at the very beginning of the song, but there's a minute. I'm thinking of a particular folk song here, and there's a minute where kind of the bottom drops out of it and the instruments sort of fall away. And at that point, he'll cast Thaumaturgy and all the windows will open and kind of let the light in.
Okay. Is this an actual song?
It is an actual song.
Okay. So you're at advantage. All right. So that's a 22 for the better one. What is the name of the song?
It's Hallelujah, the Great Storm is Over, which I don't know if you'll be able to find because it's a weird folk song.
Hold on a second. Hallelujah, the Great Storm is Over.
Yep.
Okay. You begin to play. As you do, it doesn't take long for just the capability of the two of you beginning to play together works out really, really well. She is following you on every note. Norre, as prickly and stubborn as she can be, she's a good musician. She knows what she's doing. And as you're playing, and you hit this thaumaturgy note where the windows come flying open right at that quiet moment as you described, every single individual in this tavern is just smiling and nodding along with the music. This is a song they've heard, and it is one that you can see has brought smiles to many of the tavern goers' faces. So well done. Over the course of the song, various individuals have come up by the stage and dropped coin into the helmet. When you finish the song with a 22, every single individual in the tavern applauds and calls for encore. They want another.
Okay. Yeah, we can play another one. I mean, can we go into like a fast reel, something like that? Actually, honestly, I think Tam's signature song is probably Tam Lin, that song that he first played at the beginning.
Right.
So I think he'd probably like kind of like look at Nore and kind of go right into that.
Okay. Yeah. She has heard you play that song in front of Tally, so she is familiar with it and takes up a backup harmony to go along with you. As the music is played, as you dive into this faster-paced music, it is another performance roll, please.
Yeah.
Also at advantage.
Amazing. Oh my god, no.
There they are. With a 13, you lose a little bit of the crowd. The song, it's not quite as smooth as the first one. Many of the tavern goers kind of return to their conversations, content that you're playing, but not enraptured by your music. You still get a couple more tips. Nothing quite as much as when you got on the first performance. But no one boos you off the stage.
That's enough.
Yeah. Do you stay up and play more, or is this second song your last one?
I think actually, I think Tam would kind of defer to Nore on that, because she's the one that's been here before.
Okay. Nore, when you do that, she kind of steps forward, gesturing for you to step back and play harmony. Cool. And Nore will perform with advantage, with you helping her, if you're willing to.
Absolutely, 100%. And honestly, he would tap her. Actually, can I give her some bardic inspiration?
No, you cannot, because you're doing the same performance.
Because I'm doing the same performance. That's fair.
Advantage. Hold on. Okay, she rolled a natural 18.
Hey.
As she takes over, this song is... It's not as upbeat as yours. It's not as depressing as where the tavern had been before. It is more uplifting in hard percussion notes where she stomps her foot on the stage. This very powerful rhythm that takes over around the flute and the fiddle that you're playing. And you recognize this is almost like a battle march song. And as that song takes in, many of the sailors stand up and begin to sing an anthem to the battle march, and you recognize the anthem of Trident. At the end of that song, more tips come flowing into the helm, and then Nore will try another one, now that the crowd has kind of recouped. That's the wrong die. There we go. That's a natural 17. Okay. Again, and another one. This is a folk, almost a parody, dirty song that she then goes into. Again, the crowd is going along with it comfortably, and more tips flow into the helmet. And by the end of this all, you've been playing for about 45 minutes, when finally Nore kind of drops the flute away, takes a breath, and looks at you and says, "I think that's a good afternoon spent, don't you?"
I got one more. Just one more.
All right. Take it away. Let's see if we can lock this up.
He's going to actually put the fiddle down. And he's just going to sing a cappella. And he's going to sing, "Of all the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company. And all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, was done to none but me. For all I've done, for want of wit, to my memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass, Good night and joy be to you all. And he'll go through the parting glass.
I've heard that song before. I love it. And despite how good that performance was, I do require that you roll a performance for.
Mechanics.
But it will be at advantage because that was awesome. Even though Nore is not helping, as she has stepped back and you sang this a cappella.
I'm gonna use my inspiration.
That's fair. That's fair.
I want this for him. Nope. Dice are not with me.
That's how it goes. However, having heard the performance myself, the people who do hear you are swayed. More tips come flowing into the helm. And while many of the tavern were not, maybe a cappella is just not their thing, they go back to their conversation. The people who do pay attention applaud and encore. So, at the end of it all, Nore next to you says, "Okay, that was pretty good."
I sing a little bit. Usually more fiddle playing.
Maybe we start with that, though. Get them warmed up that way.
You sing it? Okay.
Aye. And she leans down and picks up the helmet. And she says, "Let's get out of here and count."
Okay.
It's bad etiquette to count in front of him.
Good to know.
And so, she kind of leads the way out of the ship stool. Back out into Ferrum. She leads the way around the corner of the tavern so that you're kind of in a... It's not an alley, it's just a side road, but it's less public than directly out in front of the tavern. And as she counts out the money that you've earned barding, I'd like you to roll me a D100, please.
Oh, heck yeah. Come on, roll high, roll high.
56.
Not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. Most of the coin in the helmet is in silvers.
Fair.
However, you have collected 10 gold, 6 silver worth in tips. And at the end of the count, Nore looks at it and she says, "That's quite a haul. It's not the best I've ever had, but it's up there."
Wow. We're gonna give this all the tally, or what happened?
"No, this is ours." And she pours out 5 gold, 3 silver worth to you.
Okay.
We just have to show that we earned it.
Oh, well, how do we prove that?
You see a slip of parchment that she holds up from... It looks like just a tiny little bit of paper, but you see it's almost like a contract looking sort of thing. And she says, "Taggart, the bartender, signed us off."
Oh, that's really smart.
Mm-hmm. And it is now late in the afternoon, as you spent several hours just learning the room at the ship stool. And she says, "We gotta head back to the Bard's class, I think."
Okay. Yeah.
And she leads the way as you head back up through Ferrum. And on your way, roll me a D100.
Oh, yeah. Ran down encounters. Come on. Oh, oops. I didn't mean to roll 2 of them. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Let's look at the first.
7. Oh, nice.
You've done it again. It's 56. Nope. That's what you already rolled.
I think I rolled 2 of them at once. Sorry.
8. All right. Hold on a second here.
Divine Intervention?
Yeah. You're a little bit too high level for that. 8. Okay. Roll me a perception check.
Okay. Which end of the spectrum am I on now? The low end.
1. Okay.
Have I missed the random encounter entirely?
You did.
Yep. Checks out.
You make your way toward the Maryguard Academy. Undisturbed, nice and pleasant afternoon. Your pocket a little bit heavier with gold than when you started.
Okay. Fair.
You arrive at the Maryguard Academy. It is just as you left it. Only this time Persh is not having a discussion with the Dark Elf. Instead, he is just handling paperwork when you enter.
I'm gonna. This time I won't like wave at him, but I will like kind of look over and nod and smile.
He just kind of looks up and, acknowledges you with a grunt.
Okay, fair.
Norre leads the way toward the Bard classroom, which when you finally enter, it's just as you left it, with... Seems like things don't change a whole lot. Yithrun is in there still practicing, and when you return, Tally looks up and says, "Ah! Welcome back. What have you got?"
It wasn't useless.
"Great!" And Norre says, "It's true. She wasn't useless. He wasn't useless. Good singer." Tally says, "Oh, vocalist. Good to know. Right. How'd it go down to the ship's stool?"
It's a little slow going at first. There's a lot of people that are very sad there.
Well,
but we played some fun songs.
Good. And what did you learn?
Well, I learned a story about a Hydra that messed with people's minds so he could eat people.
Tally sits down on the chair and says, go on.
And there was another story about a king that died. I don't think that's a story. I think that's real.
Norre says, "Yeah, that's not a story. That's current events."
That's not great. And I mean, it was really interesting to watch the people and kind of see what they reacted to. Norre, she played some really smart stuff. She played this march, and a whole bunch of people kind of started singing the march with her, and that was very cool. That was some good, insightful crowd work, I thought.
Norre kind of tips her head, and Tally says, "That's fantastic. A great start for the two of you. Perfect. Right. So, if I come by the ship's stool later, there won't be any talk of fights or excessive drinking or anything like that, will there?" And Norre says, "No." And Tally says, "That's a shame."
Oh, were there supposed to be?
No, it's just more interesting if I have to clean up a mess. It's nothing. Don't worry about it.
Should we start a fight next time?
It makes a good story.
Okay. I don't know if I'm ready to fight yet.
You don't have to be. You see, she's...
Teacher, Tally.
What'd you say?
You're a really interesting teacher, Tally.
Thank you. I'd hate to be boring like one of the other ones. They're all boring as hell.
All of them? Even the dragon? The dragon's a dragon!
Alright, that's not boring, but he could be. He'll talk your ear off if you let him.
Yeah, everyone's told me that.
It's the truth. Anyway, well done with your successful venture today. I want you to think about what you've heard, think about what you've sung, and tomorrow, when you return, well, we have more studying to do.
You want me to write a song about this?
Eventually.
Okay. Take some notes.
If you can weave what happened today into one of your songs, that makes the magic behind it that much more potent because it comes from the heart.
Okay. Don't know if it was that interesting, but I could try.
Doesn't have to be interesting to start. It's interesting when you finish.
Stuff that we do. We make
Mm-hmm.
it magical.
That's right. All right, then, Ythron, you can take a break. Why don't you? Class is dismissed. Why don't all of you go get drunk or something? And Tally will stand up and kind of stretch her back. She says, the rest of the afternoon and evening is yours. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which isn't much.
Okay.
You're welcome to
Okay.
hang out in here. You're welcome to leave. I don't much care. I'm going to get something to eat. And Tally will walk out of the classroom.
Pam, before Ythrin leaves,
Ythrin.
Ythrin, yeah, we'll give him a little bit of guidance. Just because it seems like he's still trying to manage that loot.
Yeah. Sure. Okay, you cast guidance on Ythrin, who looks at you and he's like setting the loot down and he says, yeah, thanks. It's tricky. Small notes.
Yeah, you got some pretty big claws. I'm pretty impressed with your dexterity.
Practice makes perfect, they say.
Yeah, they say that. Hope it's true.
I don't want to be perfect, but better than now.
Yeah, you'll get there. You're gonna get there.
You nice tiefling, thank you.
Yeah, sure thing, buddy. I'm learning too. I'm trying to practice not being annoying.
That's rough. Norrie says everyone annoying. And you hear Norrie say, shut up!
Oh, it's not just me.
No, Norrie hate my laugh. I can't help.
Dore, what's an example of something that's not annoying?
Norrie is like looking off in the distance and she says, ale?
Oh, I think I can manage that.
Quiet.
I mean,
Sleep.
You're a bard. You must do other things for fun that are not annoying, that aren't ale or sleep.
She looks at you and she says, I used to fight. That wasn't annoying.
You play the flute real good.
Thank you. It's taken me a long time to get good at it.
Yeah, I imagine. But wait, you practice with your swords a lot too, right?
Yeah, I do.
Why'd you decide to practice the flute and not the swords? How come you do both?
I do both.
Cause you're good at it, or
Because in situations where I'm trying to earn coin and people want to take it from me, I'd like to be able to cut them down or defend myself.
that is very sensible.
Where I grew up, you either knew how to fight or you knew how to hide. And I'm not one for hiding.
You know how to fight.
I do.
See, sounds like a hard life if you have to know how to fight or hide.
It is.
Ale makes it less hard.
That was just fun.
Well, let's go get some.
She looks at you and she says, I spent all fucking day with you. Can I just not right now? Maybe tomorrow?
Okay,
I'm just tired. That's all.
that's fair. That's fair. You go get some sleep.
Well, I'm not. I'm just gonna fucking be somewhere there is nobody else.
You have a very different experience of life than I do. I respect that. I'm gonna leave you alone now. Bye.
Thank the gods. And she, like, goes back to staring off until finally you see out of your peripheral she turns to the shelves and pulls a couple books down. What do you do?
I think he's gonna go to the Merry-Guard, but only briefly.
Okay.
Because he imagined that he maybe like drank a little bit of this or that. He's been at a tavern all day. And
Yeah.
I know I wrote down the stuff that I wrote down the three choices, and now I can't find it from the last session that Tally likes. Um, can I get a read on her mood at all?
Oh, you're looking for Tally here.
Yeah. Well, I'm not actually looking for Tally. What I was gonna do is I was basically gonna just like pre-order a drink for her from me, and then get because I imagine she's gonna come.
Roll an insight check.
Not terrible. 16.
Yeah. She seems, with a 16, you know that she has been working with Yithrun all day. So she seems like maybe her patience is short. Little bit stressed out.
Stressed out. Okay, so she's not necessarily feeling poetic, probably more tired. Yes?
Probably.
I think the wagon porter, I found it. I think the wagon porter was what she wanted when she was tired.
Sure.
It was the mug and tooth whiskey when she was like, if she was remembering correct. And I don't know if that was necessarily what I got from that inside check. So I'm gonna go.
You think the porter is likely the better choice here?
Okay, cool. So he's gonna go up to, oh my gosh, what's the name of the bartender? I don't have it written down. Sorry.
Boone.
Okay, so he's gonna go up to Boone. He's gonna say, hi.
Hello again, Tim. I remember everyone.
You remember everyone. You're such a good bartender.
Except for those I forget.
That's fair. I'm not here for very long. Hallie's probably gonna come down pretty soon. Would you, can I get her some of the port wagon porter?
Yeah. It's 3 copper.
Okay. I hand him 3 copper. I just, say it's from Tam. That's all.
Alright, I'll tell her.
Cool. Thank you. I'll give him an extra copper as a tip for doing me a favor.
He kind of taps it on the counter before tucking it away and says, I'll see you next time, Tim.
See you next time.
Okay. You have purchased an ale for Tally when she inevitably arrives at the Merry-Guard. What do you do next?
I think, is it about time? Is it about, like, the time that I said I would be at the Physiker?
It's certainly approaching.
Okay. I think if I have a little bit of time to spare before then, I will make one more kind of trip into the like religious district to see if I can find any fiddler related stuff.
Okay.
If that fails, I will go straight to the Physiker.
Okay, so I'm making sure you're going to the cleric classroom?
Yeah. Not the classroom, but the that like area of town.
Oh, the chapel area. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's pull up the map real quick. You are looking specifically for things on the fiddler.
Yeah.
Alright, so go ahead and roll me an investigation check.
Okay. These go well. That's not terrible for my +1 investigation.
A 13. There is no temple to the fiddler here.
Okay. But no. Okay, so I'm pretty sure there's no temple to the fiddler. I imagine. Do I see Magos kind of just on my way as I'm looking?
You see a temple to Ana. You see a temple to Vion. You see a temple to Luminous. and you see a shrine to Viella.
Okay. Okay. So no fiddler in this district.
Correct.
Okay.
Now,
Well,
as a cleric, as training as a cleric, you would know, not every town has a temple to every deity.
sure. Sure. I think in his heart of hearts, Cham was like imagining that this would be the case. Like he didn't know that that would be the case, but he was like, there will be a temple there, and I will learn everything. And that's he is discovering that that is in fact the thing that he wanted is not the case.
Yes, unfortunately.
He will heave a heavy sigh, and then he will tromp back through the travel district. And I think the Physiker was next to the Mary Guard, right, or close to it.
Yeah, it's pretty close. It's just up a few blocks, basically. Oh, come on. Sorry. I'm having some struggles with my foundry. Alright. You head up to the Physicary. It is... Why is this page breaking? I'm sorry. I need to sort out this image. One moment. I think I will just delete the scene and start over. Just take a second. It's never easy, is it?
It never is. Technology in particular.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, create new scene. Pull up this image. Please work. And we are good. That wasn't so bad, thank goodness. Okay. Oh. It still is never easy. Alright. And then, so you enter the Physicary, which, as I've said before, it looks like a small workshop-like office. And as you enter, it is giving me a hard time. Hold on. Activate. Goodness gracious.
Found it. Got it.
Okay, did this load okay? Can you see?
I can see.
Okay. You see Zurich, the half-orc individual, covered in trinkets and bits and bobs with spectacles, is standing over a workbench. And you see near him a woman you don't recognize, but the immediate insight tells you that they are very familiar. And Zurich looks up at you as you enter, and he says, welcome. I'm glad to see you've arrived just on time.
Yeah, we got out a little early. Glad to be here.
Perfect. That gives us plenty of time to familiarize you with the equipment we might be using in here. First and foremost, this is my partner in crime, as it were. Annika, this is Tam, the individual I told you about. And the half-elf woman who's wearing like an apron looks over at you and she says, "Oh, hello.
Oh, charmed. I'm Tam.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Excited to see what you're capable of.
Me too.
This fellow here, he has a quite liking for contraptions and such, so if he goes trying to upgrade your instruments and such, maybe just give him a slap on the hand."
Okay. I mean, I like contraptions too, but I'm not very good at making them.
Oh, don't tell him that. And she, you see she, like, retreats to one of the desks and start pulling out papers, and Zurich says, "I am pleased to hear it. I have quite a liking for magical inventions and such. And as we spoke last time, you said that you were capable of repairing things and You were eager to learn healing, as it were. Just a little
I
bit.
am. The real, I mean, I don't know, I say that the divine feeling is not real, but it's magical. And I really like the idea of being able to do it just with your hands and your insight and stuff.
Good man. One after my own approval, I see. I believe that healing through mundane means can help you in situations where magic is not an option. Knowing how the body works, how to properly secure a wound, staunch bleeding, these sorts of things are useful tools anyone could have. So, I'm pleased to have you here. My first... I'm sorry?
I'm ready to learn, sir. And also, if you want some musical accompaniment, I can do that too.
I am always a fan of good music. However, our first customer will be likely arriving here any moment. Their appointment is for 5 minutes ago, so we shall see. And you spend the rest of the evening here, or is this just like a brief segment
No,
of it?
he's serious about this. He would be here. I mean, and also, like, Ham is used to working. Like, for all the kind of, like, carefree, he wants to be carefree really badly. He only operates. He, like, only knows how to operate on a schedule, and he only knows how to operate, like, when he's really busy. He does not know what to do with free time. So
Okay.
he will be here as long as Zura gets him to be here.
Okay then. Roll me a few things. Firstly, roll me an investigation check.
Okay.
16. Over your time here for the rest of the night, you discover a few things. The first thing is that Zurich and Annika were clearly adventurers. They have the vestments of past battles. It's clear that they've worked together in many different situations, and it's almost as though they read minds, how often they know what the other one needs quickly. With that knowledge, I'd like you to roll me just a straight intelligence roll.
Okay. 17.
It's pretty good. They are clearly a duo where Zurich is an artificer. And Annika is what looks more like the sort you might have read about, maybe like a gunslinger. These sorts of things where everything she does is quick and precise and balanced, whereas everything Zurich does it's a little bit bumbling, but he appears to be a bit of a genius. As you watch as these different customers come through, they have small ailments all the way up to big ones, where someone comes in with just a bad cut, and Zurich quickly corrects it using what is little more than a medicine kit and some weird, intricate tools that he's made. And then one of the appointments comes in, and this is where Zurich would turn to you, because he's going to need your help here. There is an arrowhead embedded in a man's, well, I say a man, in a changeling's thigh. Zurich is looking to you, and he says, "Right, I will require concentration, and if you happen to have any of those uplifting ditties that might help, I could use the assistance."
Yeah, I can do that. Can I look at, is the changeling, I imagine, is in great pain right now?
Yes.
Is there anything I can do for him, for the changeling first?
What do you have in mind?
Um, I feel like he would kind of like look at them, and I play one, so I've been thinking about this. I think if you look at them and kind of assess, maybe like not necessarily the physical pain, but kind of the emotional pain and the distress, because he's pretty intuitive.
Okay.
And try to feel like what is the song that would work here? Like what is it that the changeling needs to feel better and taken care of?
Roll an insight check for me. The changeling is doing their best to mask the pain. They are sweating. They're breathing sharply. They seem to be difficult to read as they are shying away from everyone's perceptions of them. So you can roll me a performance here, but it's just going to be a straight roll.
Not bad.
No, not bad. The music you play is gentle and slow, sort of a, maybe an all-purpose tool here, as far as songs go, to try and ease someone, distract them with the tones of your fiddle. Do you give Zurich a bardic inspiration?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Zurich performs the surgery with your help. Let me roll.
Give him a guidance. Is that allowed?
Yeah, you can do both.
Cool.
Your inspiration's a D6, correct?
D6, yep.
All right. You watch as your music flows through the room and Annika hands him the tools that he needs. Zurich performs the surgery to remove the arrowhead quickly and flawlessly. And by the time he's done, and the wound is stitched and bandaged, the woman, the changeling, the sweating has slowed, the breathing has eased a little, and when Zurich says, "All right, that ought to do it," the changeling on the table says, "Oh, we're done already." And Zurich says, "Of course, unless you want me to put it back in." And the changeling just kind of quickly shakes its head and sits up and says, "Well, thank you. For what do I owe you?" And Zurich says, "Everybody gets one. Just don't do it again." And Zurich looks at you and he says, "You did very well. Kept me well concentrated. Thank you."
I'm glad. You're the one that did all the work.
"Yes, but I couldn't have done it without your help, so thank you. I have a number."
Before the changeling goes, are their clothes ripped at all from where the arrow went in them?
Yes.
Can Sam ask to try to fix that up before they leave?
Well, the trouser leg was actually completely cut away by Zurich, so he could get to the leg. But you can still try to fix them.
Yeah, I mean, I only have mending, but I would offer.
As Zurich, you offer, and Zurich will say, "Go ahead, I have cleaning up to do." And the changeling seems very grateful, and he says, Thank you. It's been a really awful day. You can roll me a spellcasting check for the mending.
Oh, not great.
It's the DC to mend pants is a 10. So you successfully mend the pants. It's not perfect, but it's way better than it was. You completely close up the cut. And when that's finally done, they re-put on the pants, and they say, "Oh, I don't have to go out in the bare ass anymore. Thank you."
Full service job.
Apparently so. As that changeling leaves, more customers come in, and Zurich says, "It's always a busy day. Are you ready for more?"
Yeah, I think so. This is so different from what I'm used to. I kind of love it.
Good. Annika, if you could sterilize this. And the work continues. For the rest of the evening, with only a break for meal, you assist Zurich and Annika as they run their physicary. Roll me 3 performance checks.
Yeah. Ugh. Two of them are good.
The natural one. During the natural one, you begin to play during that particular moment, and you don't know what's wrong, but it does not sound right at all. And like halfway through his work, Zurich looks up and says, "Why don't you take a break? Maybe recollect yourself." However, It's fine. It happens to the best of us.
Well,
You you take a break. You maybe eat some dinner. Um, Over the rest of the evening, you earn a wage. Working for Zurich and Annika for on what seems like an endless supply of people with injuries, minor to major, diseases, small to great, conditions that need to be attended to. One thing you notice is they don't charge the people that come in with sudden onset emergencies.
interesting. Okay. I
You,
like that. Tom likes that.
you are awarded 13 gold pieces for
Damn.
your
Okay.
performance. And as Zurich and Annika are closing up shop by the end of the evening, they're locking down the physicary, and Zurich has thoroughly washed his hands many times, and many tools are sitting in front of what looks like a small forge as they're sterilizing. Zurich turns to you and he says, "You did very well today. Um, I can see this as being a very comfortable relationship.
I hope so. I learned a lot.
I...
Um,
Hmm?
sir, can I ask you a question?
Of course, you can ask me anything. I might not be able to answer, but I'll try."
What's it like to be an adventurer?
He chuckles, and Annika kind of smiles at him. He looks at you and he says, "It is amazing and terrifying, and something I miss most dearly but would never return to, if that makes sense."
It does. A lot of sense. Well, you don't have to. I'm sure many bards have told your stories, but if you wouldn't mind sometime telling me a story, maybe I can practice my songwriting?
Roll a persuasion. Zurich, in the business of removing like the sterile long elbow gloves and such, looks at you and he says, well, maybe sometime. If you catch me in the right mood."
Doesn't have to be now. I'm just interested is all. I mean, if I guess if I do this and I graduate, then maybe I'll be kind of maybe a little bit qualified to do it myself. I don't know if that's what I want yet. So
If I may make any recommendation to you,
yeah,
it's what mattered to me the most is if you are to be an adventurer, find the right friends to do it with.
that sounds great. That seems like good advice for just about anything.
It is, isn't it? Sometimes I impress myself. Um, Truly, though, the people you work with, whether it be an adventurer or here, in my own workshop, this is the most important thing, is who you do it with. And you see Annika is blushing, and she gives him the finger. Yes, well, never change. And as my day's work has ended, Annika's here has just begun.
Really? Why? Oh, because okay, no, I get it.
She's going to operate the forge and build things, as that's what she likes to
Oh,
do. I don't know what you were insinuating.
but I thought, but I thought she just I thought she was working with you. She has like a whole other shift now.
Well, our day began maybe 2 o'clock this afternoon, and I perform the physicary during the afternoon and evening, and she does her forging in the evening and at night, because it is easiest to tell when metal is ready to be worked in the darkness.
But if you're working mostly in the morning and and she's working mostly at night. When do we see each other?
Oh, I'm going to be helping her now.
Oh, I get it.
Annika looks at you and says, yeah, he's not getting off the hook.
Good. That works really well. Symbiosis.
So far, so good. I haven't killed him yet.
Yeah, I know a person like that too.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's gonna kill me though. She thinks I'm annoying.
Oh! She sounds like a sourpuss.
I think she's just scared to get to know people because she lived in a place that was really hard and she had to be on her guard all the time, it seems like. So I think she finds a lot of things annoying, but I don't think she knows how to talk to people.
Annika kind of glances over at Zurich and she says, I don't know anybody like that. And Zurich says, right, that's enough of that.
I don't know if I'm the right teacher, but we'll see.
You might be surprised.
Maybe.
You never know who you'll end up with.
I'm pretty annoying though.
The two kind of give each other a glance.
Well, I appreciate your teaching me. I'll be back, maybe tomorrow.
I expect to see you tomorrow afternoon. If you're a little late, it is fine. It's just more money out of your pocket, as it were.
Okay, I'll come back. Have fun with the forge.
Oh, it's my favorite time of the night. And Annika rolls her eyes and says, he likes to try and flatter. Anyway, have a good night, Tam.
Thanks. Bye.
They both wave.
Can I like hang out at the doorframe? Did they say anything about me as I'm leaving?
Roll a perception.
Two modes.
A natural 20.
That's like the fifth one.
You kind of delay at the door, and you hear Annika say, annoying, huh? And Zurich says, well, I could see it. Good energy, though. And then you hear, like, a loud of a bellows starting up.
People seem pretty divided on Tam. Either they're, like, annoying or good energy.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
That seems to be the case. It is now nighttime.
Excellent.
You've passed by the day. You've earned yourself a bit of coin.
Yeah.
You have gotten maybe a little bit more exposure into the people around Ferrum. You have seen more into the life of Zurich and Annika. And you've maybe had your first successful day of lesson with Tally's Bard class.
Big day.
Big day. And as we finish the day, I think that's going to be where we stop tonight.
Excellent. Can I add one tiny thing?
Of course you can.
How much was that bottle of black something whiskey that I was gonna try to buy that was expensive? Black Devil whiskey.
Black Devil whiskey's, I believe it was 12 gold.
Okay, I made more than that today,
You did.
so I'm gonna buy myself a bottle of that.
That is very responsible of you. Okay,
No.
make a note that you spent almost all the gold you earned today buying a bottle of Black Devil whiskey.
Yep.
Okay, you have it.
So responsible. We will deal with that next time.
Okay. Thank you for playing, and to everybody who maybe was watching, thank you for listening. It's been an awesome time, and I look forward to next week.
Excellent. Me too.
Good night, everybody.